into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
Yeah, are we recording? Let's fucking do it. Hello, fuckers. I forgot how I intro this podcast. Greetings of the motherfucking damned, and welcome to Pod Damn America, the gothic socialist podcast for dumb fucks. I'm Jake Flores. I'm very tired. I'm at the end of a tour here in Austin, Texas. This is another edition of our service industry series. Thank you for your service. The podcast about how we are more brave than the troops. Who am I talking to today? I'm in Austin, Texas. I've got the great Pat Dean, the mayor of Austin Comedy.
Hello.
Bartender at the Velve, of course.
Yes.
And I imagine that I think my understanding is that you've worked in sort of a series of scary Americana diners.
Yeah. I've worked at a like a faux 1950s diner in beautiful Tyson's Corner, Virginia, called the Silver Diner. It's still there. I don't remember what street it's on, but yeah, that was fun. And then I worked at Maggiano's Little Italy here in Austin, Texas. And then I worked at a haunted sports bar called the Tavern.
Oh, I remember the Tavern. I've been there. And then also joining us from motherfucking Heels, Josh McLane. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Yeah. Sorry, I'm fried as fuck, dude. This week, dude.
I feel fucking great.
You look great, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I
We
feel
look like
incredible.
polished shit over here. You look just beautiful over there, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, I
The
slept
Austin's Buddha sitting over there in the corner, just
I know.
light shining off you and shit.
I slept for I think 11 hours.
Oh,
So
go
I feel
fuck
pretty
yourself, dude. Oh God.
I honestly think I am the most well-rested comic in Austin. I work 3 nights a week and sleep no less than 10 hours
I
a
don't
night.
think I've ever been more jealous of anybody's working in
Well,
my life.
What can I say?
Dude,
You know?
as soon as
You
I
deserved
got
it.
back into this town, I started sleeping until 3 p.m., like, out of habit. It's just
Sure,
something
yeah.
in the fucking air or something.
Well, it's like 110 degrees outside.
Yeah, it is
like,
it is Memphis. It's interesting being around a bunch of people walking around like going, oh, it's so hot. I was like, yeah, this was Memphis last week, dude. I mean, I know it's hot here, but like it's wet. Yeah, it's hot and wet in Memphis
Yeah.
all the time. It's the humidity. They say it's the humidity that kills you.
It's the humidity that kills you. God damn it.
It's gonna stab you in the mouth.
Why do you think people say that?
The same guys who said working hard or hardly working, the same kind of people that have to say that kind of shit, I guess.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess so.
You just have to say something.
You know what it is it's you have to say something, you can't just not, and like it's a very profound emptiness that like exists in people, I think, after a certain age. This reminds me of I used to work at a bar in Manhattan, and I would see these middle-aged men walking across the street, and I'd always lock eyes with them and then go, fuck, because I knew what was going to happen. They were always going to urgently cross the street and then come inside and just poke their head in and go, how long has this place been here? And I'd be like, you don't care. Like, no one cares how long this place has been here. But there's a certain type of man that needs to walk around the city and interrogate every building and just go,
Yeah.
how long has this place been here?
That would happen. Go ahead.
Oh, I worked at a place called the New Daisy Theater on Beale Street in Memphis for 12 years. It was like the owner's sidekick and stuff like that. And I had to be there early in the day for orders and all that kind of crap coming in. But if I walked past the front doors and happened to glance at anybody because it's on Beale Street, they'd walk up and have to bang on the door. You're like, has this been here since W.C. Handy was here?
Who cares
Yeah,
how
like,
long
I
it's
don't
been
give a
here?
shit, dude. You didn't even look in here until
Yeah.
you glanced at me, motherfucker.
I've worked here 6 months. That's all I
yeah.
know. That's all I can
No
guarantee.
hablo inglés, por favor.
Yeah.
That would happen at the tavern, except what would happen is we would have this crazy morning like rush until like 1, and then everybody would leave, and I would just sit there bartending, and like people would kind of straggle in until 4 o'clock when it started getting busy again. And people do this bit, and I don't know why they do it, and I wish they'd stop, but they do this thing where they walk in and they see that the room's empty,
Yeah.
They just go, "Where is everybody?"
God.
I don't know, man.
Fuck you, dude.
Whoa, you make your living off tips, huh? This must be very frightening.
Is that not the fucking worst? I worked at a deli for a while that was on its way down. I was worked at a deli in Memphis that was like the hub of the only place to eat in for like 20 years. And then in the last 5 years, they've really developed right close to there. So our business just went to shit because there was a bunch of choice and stuff.
Nice.
So all of a sudden, all these dudes would walk in all the time. Every day there'd be at least one yuppie ass jerkwad who would walk in and be like, "Where's everybody at?"
Yeah.
Like, dude, go fuck yourself,
Yeah.
dude. Why do you need to fucking say that? It'd be one
weird.
thing if you were all like, "Damn, where's the cup?" Like if you said that, but you're just being
No.
loud and being a dick.
Here's what it is, right? The reason it sucks, the reason that like dad humor sucks is because like they know they're still doing it anyway, but
Yeah.
every single other shitty old guy has said the exact same thing. Say something new. Call me a racial slur
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Something interesting.
So the club that I manage is you said earlier, it's called the Velveeta Room. It's a terrible name.
I think it's a fucking fantastic name, but yeah,
Well-
it's probably because it's a bad name. I like it so much.
Well, you don't have to work there. But basically, like what'll happen is at least a few times a month, someone will come in and like as I'm making their drink, they'll go like, "Oh, Velveeta Room. Are the jokes cheesy?"
Oh Christ, I didn't even think
And
about that.
every
Yeah.
single time I smile and I go, "We'll find out." And then I take a lemon and I squirt it directly into my eye. And I scream and give them their drinks.
Fill a shot glass full of salt and just do that
Yeah.
fucker back right in the same eye.
It's just a thing where you're like, "Okay."
I just lean in and I say the 14 words. The way
That's my favorite Deftones song. 14 words.
I go, you and me, brother.
The
Just look
most
at him, give him the old hand signal or whatever the fuck ever. Now.
unexpected thing ever. If they were like making a lighthearted joke and you're like, "I'm a white supremacist." Like, oh,
Especially with you staring
I
him
know,
in the
with
face,
this
that would be.
bald-headed fuking racist-looking piece of
Hey,
shit
these
by the
boots
bar.
were made for walking. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Good lord.
Oh,
But
man.
you know,
God, I bet that's. I didn't even think about that kind of like shit. And in that kind of a joke, those people think they're the first person to think.
They
of
always
that.
do.
They always think.
always do.
Like no one's ever put that two and two together before.
Yeah.
Oh man.
but you know, I don't do it for the money. I do it for the smiles and the faces of my customers.
You do it because you're a white
The bar
supremacist.
tab.
I do it because I'm a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did y'all ever have to do? Did y'all ever switch from a when you've been doing nighttime gigs for a while and you end up working into a daytime thing and have to readjust
Yeah, that shit's weird.
every aspect?
I had to do the opposite.
I was partying I was at a bar called P&H for a long time in Memphis, and then I met my wife, and it was one of those where I was like burnt on the bar thing, and it was starting to be where I would just get coked up every night and just be a dick to fucking everybody. So I got this day job. But my hours are so screwed, and I had to keep the other job for a hot second. So I was trying to sober up during the day, and by sobering up, I would just do the 40 bag throughout the day instead of first thing when I got to work like I normally did at the old shit.
Okay, day cocaine.
Yeah, it turned into
Totally
somehow
normal.
I'm like, this is turning into better for my this is supposed to be a better turn for my fucking life. And it was just like, it's amazing what I can tolerate at night behind a bar. What I could get away there that you cannot say across to somebody in a deli case at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
at a
Oh.
fucking deli. You know, I'm saying you get spoiled nighttime of all like the P&H are gonna be like, hey, you're being a dick. Fuck the fuck off. I'm just not serving you anymore
Sure.
if I want to be like that. You can't say that to like a 65-year-old Germantown lady who wants a better cut of the corned beef.
What's cool about the gig that I have now is that real quick, what's funny is that I did the opposite where I worked days and would do stand up at night. So it was like for 7 years I just worked days.
Yeah.
And then that completely switched with this new gig. Well, not a new gig, but I've had it for like 2 years at this point. But like I had to readjust to working at night. And it was it took us, I mean, like, it's fine now, but for the first, like, couple weeks, I was like, this is fucking weird.
I've had to do that with the kitchen I run now. The kitchen I own now, I went back to nights, and it was all like, oh, yeah, I'm back to nighttime stuff. And it took me 6 months to get used to it again, because the whole time I'm up there, I'm like, y'all are all hammered already. It's 7 o'clock. What the fuck is going on? I have Netflix. I want to go home.
One good thing about the gig that I have is that because I'm in charge, so I can kind of just say whatever I want. And so I don't do it often, but every once in a while, like, someone will come up and be like, hey, can I have it? And I go, fuck you.
Yeah.
And they go, what? And I go, yeah, what do you want? Or my thing now is that if someone gets like a Dos Equis or a fucking like a Topo Chico or whatever, and I go, oh, do you want a lime with it? And they say no. I always go, oh, a man's man. They're like, are you being a dick? Are you trying to be funny? Like, no one knows.
Oh, a libertarian. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when they people are used to drinking at bars where the bartender is a waiter essentially.
Yeah.
And then they walk into a shithole and they're like, "Why is this person being mean to me?"
Yeah.
It's odd.
They
yeah.
all want to be mean to you.
Yeah.
It's only us that
We can get away
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We one of the worst, most pain in the ass gigs I ever worked was at the Daisy when I was bartending with somebody else, and the National 311 Fan Club.
Yes.
Did 311 played Mud Island on 311 one year, right? And so the day before, they have the National 311 Fan Club. They rent out someplace. It happens every city they do it in. They rent out the biggest club they can do, right? And so we were like, oh, so we're doing a 311 night. I was like, what? What? Are they coming to play or signing or something like that? He goes, no. What happened was 1,100 people came into this big-ass place, and the PA just played 311. That's it. That's all that happened. That's all that happened. And these
That
people paid
fucking rules.
$50 a piece as part of the fan club.
That
And
is so
we had
tight.
to do 10 different 311 themed drinks. Right? So me trying to be a good guy, that was part of the deal with we getting rent. We had, from what I understand, the old boss just bent them over on rent to get it. Was just like, yeah, you can do all this, $10,000. Got it because they had the money and were willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I'll have
course.
the amber as the color of my energy
Dude, all right,
beer.
so hold on. The two that I remember were
The
the
amber
all
is the
mixed.
color of my energy drink.
There he is. We had to make it all mixed up in a homebrew, obviously, kind of thing. But the thing is that I was like, we're not gonna make, because they were shooters, they weren't drinks. So of course, being 311 fans and the kind of people that came to that, they're all like, I need 3 homebrews and 4 all mixed ups, and they wanted a whole spread. So what it was every one of them was vodka, rum, or gin, and every one of them was just pineapple juice. The other one had pineapple juice and grenadine.
Yeah.
And the other one had pineapple juice, grenadine, and whatever else the fuck I felt like grabbing and shooting at. And by the
Yeah.
end of it, we were literally just coloring and dumping in shit just to get them the fuck out of
Yeah,
the way.
sure.
Because they never stopped. The line never, and all they did was sing along to 311 over the fucking PA. That is literally it.
I think that kind of rules a little bit.
Oh,
I think
if I was a 311 fan in there, that'd have been the shit. I
but
would have loved that.
Bartending it, I feel like I would go, wait, we're having what here? And then okay. And then 5 minutes in, I'd be like, you know what? This is cool. I think it was just kind of cool.
The thing was, it really, the owner ended up having, the guy who ran the show ended up having to pony up because nobody tipped. And I mean, ever.
Oh,
Not
really?
once. Nobody
The
tipped. They all assumed
1,100
it was
people?
They all assumed it was part. No, seriously, next to nobody was tipping at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
And the guy who ran the party came over and he goes, "You guys making money? We usually do pretty good with these." And I looked at the tip jar. I was like, "I'm not trying to be a dick, dude. I'm just being honest." And he goes, "Oh, that's not going to work." So he gets on the PA and starts yelling at everybody to fucking tip, or he's shutting down the bar and shutting down the whole party because 311 doesn't party like that. Those are his exact words. Those are his exact. And I was all like, "Oh, all right, I like that. I'll give you that." And we ended up doing
311
okay,
doesn't
but like
party like that.
it was because it was in Memphis. It wasn't like people that traveled so much. It was all what's the asshole rich white college around here? In Memphis, it's Rhodes. It's a very certain kind of kid who's will never have to have a job, has never had a job.
Oh, sure,
and
yeah.
free pay to college, has no idea what working in service is in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what there was about 1,100 of those kids in there that night.
Wait,
You know,
it's rich kids that are in the 311
yeah,
fan
dude.
club?
Yeah, dude.
That's fucking
It was
weird.
no hippies. It was. I mean, I wonder if
I would have thought it'd been like Deadhead, Florida people,
not that many people traveled for this one. Apparently,
I
it's
guess
more local
I guess
than-
that you would have to have a lot of money and be completely detached from your fellow man in society
Yeah.
to even think that it's a good idea to go to a party in another city where you just play a 311 CD.
Well, I'd like to think that there's other groups in the 311 fan club clique who are all like, that's for the newbies. That's what those kids do.
Sure.
Those of us who actually have taste in other things, we don't go to those. Or who
Man,
the fuck out.
I remember when I was like 12, I thought the band was called 311. And then I found out they called 311, and I just had like a private shame. I just
It
felt like
would
an idiot.
make more sense for them to be called 311.
It really
311
would.
is
Yeah.
weird. It's like when 9/11 first happened and no one knew what to call it
Yeah.
for like a month. September
911? No.
911. It was
Yeah.
911 for a while, and then eventually it stuck as 9/11.
I took this class in college with like a criminal. I think it was like a criminal justice thing. I don't know, but the teacher or the teacher was the a police the police chief of Richmond, Virginia, or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was he kept referring to it as the terrorist attacks of 9/11. And
Yeah.
I was like, dude, it's like 2005.
Did William Shatner host that show too?
It was so odd. He
Yeah.
also definitely used like a racial slur at one point out of nowhere, and I could tell he didn't realize he did it. Where he referred to like screwing somebody over as kiking someone.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's like, so then you kind of kiked him over, then blah 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 blah, and like no one seemed to
You're like,
react.
"Skirt, wait a second, what was that?
Yeah, no one. Like I kind of looked around, like you said that right, and like no one reacted.
Yeah. Maybe he said it just so calmly.
Yeah, that
you
people-
were like,
Weird.
wait, what the fuck?
I worked in a
did he
prep
say?
kitchen.
Yeah, he couldn't possibly have said that because he said it so calmly.
Yeah, he said it so effortlessly. That morning, the morning of 9/11, I was prepping in a kitchen.
No
in
shit.
Little Rock, I'm sitting here cooking in a kitchen. And I thought, with it happening, when the first tower went down, I still thought it was like some kind of joke, you know what I mean, some kind of bullshit, or I don't know what. I just kind of didn't want to acknowledge it. And when the second thing happened,
Cool bit.
Well, I'm working on this new bit.
my guitar player, who the reason I moved to Little Rock, I was in a band at the time, and the guitar player got me a job. And when the second tower happened, I didn't know how to acknowledge it because I was so blown the fuck away, and I was just me, which means I had to crack a joke because I didn't know what. And Mark is like, I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe this happened. I was like, well, I don't know, man. With as many shitty bands as America puts out once a year, this was going to happen sooner or later. And I was just trying to do that. He knocked me the fuck out cold.
Oh, wow.
In the kitchen. I mean, just laid back and fucking, I woke up like 2 or 3 minutes later with my head chef going, you should really learn to shut the fuck up sometimes, Josh.
Yeah, emotions were raw that day.
Yeah. And I woke up and Marcus is like, I'm sorry, but I was pissed. I was like, dude, I'm not mad at you. I cracked a fucking joke while you were
Dude,
freaking out.
When 9/11
9/11
first struck, I remember I was in high school,
And
and
it sound like herpes.
I know we were in jazz band class, and it was like kind of towards the end of the class, and we were just fucking around, and we were blasting "Mo Money, Mo Problems" by Puff Daddy and Biggie and Mace, and we missed the announcement because we were just like grooving and like dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't know what happened, and then like all the choir girls came in and they were like crying, and we were like, "What's wrong, babe?" And then they're like, "It's 9/11," and we were like, "Oh no!"
Oh man.
And then that's when we gave it a standing ovation. We all stood up and we all said, "Finally."
Finally. Took long enough.
Yeah.
Speaking of 3/11, this is
Hell yeah.
more related to the tour than the fucking service shit. But me and Mishka played. Mishka always books just the weirdest shit.
Oh, yeah.
And as
100%.
we're rolling up to the club, I look at him and go, "What the fuck did you just do?"
Oh, it
to
was a
us?"
club? It wasn't just a house?
Well,
It wasn't some dude's shack behind his house.
I've done
He's
that.
stepping up. Oh, I have too, brother. With him.
But he booked us at a weed bar called the Dab Lounge.
Oh my God.
What a great name.
That sucks so
That is
bad.
so bad. That is so fucking bad. It almost goes around to cool, but not enough.
Did not serve alcohol. But there was a bartender who you could go up to and get dabs from. And
Yeah,
it
we
was-
sell edibles that were called "I'm fucking baked."
and it was
Sucks ass.
It was
Yeah,
like
for sure.
brightly lit, and all the walls were like red, green, and yellow, like a Bob Marley poster. And neither of us smoke weed, and so we immediately got stoned from being in the place, and just had this like nightmare, weird, awkward show with like people who. But you would think the stereotype I think about weed would be that those people like to laugh, but they're not engaged in the way that you need to be to do stand up. You know?
Oh, yeah. They're just glazed over kind of thing.
You're,
Yeah.
you're not gonna kill people who are sitting on bean bags. You know,
Yeah.
they're like chilling.
That's too
They're-
comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
They're way too comfortable. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
You're actively like ruining their buzz
Yeah.
because they're like stoned, and you're just like, but the thing about society,
You're like,
they're
we'd
"What?"
rather be watching Star Trek, man.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah.
they're we're just bumming them out.
Yeah.
There's no reason for us to be in there. We belong in a different place, you know. We did that, and then fucking I told this to Josh off mic, but I'm gonna tell it again for the show because it's fucking funny. Mishka had eaten some mushrooms at one point, and they didn't really do anything. Like, you didn't get a buzz out of them. So we were on our way to play this bar in Amarillo that's just like a fucking roadhouse nightmare. And he was like, "Well, I'm gonna eat the rest of these mushrooms because they didn't do anything." But the thing is, like, the second time he was eating the shake in the bottom of the bag, which is where all the mushroom stuff goes. So then the next night after that, you know, what happens is he eats those mushrooms on the way to the venue, and because he ate the trash the first time, and now he's eating the shake where all the mushrooms is. He gets fucking 10 times more high than he thought he was gonna get, and just has to play like the shit kicker bar high on mushrooms.
Man,
Switched it around. Should have done that at the Dab Lounge.
That would have been perfect for the dab. They would have
Yeah.
loved it there.
Yeah, dude, it's so fucking funny.
Oh God!
how did it go?
Incredible. It was insane.
It's one of those. That's one of those fucking things where you're like, you get pissed almost at someone like that. Like, I'm not saying I wanted you to fail, but I wanted it to be a little more effort than that. I didn't want it to be that easy.
have some consequences.
100%,
for your
exactly.
Terrible choices.
I want you to at least have to break fourth wall at some point. You say, "Go, man, I'm sorry, I'm so fucking hammered on mushrooms."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was weird as shit. It was the weirdest. It was weird that it was good. It was one of those fucking gigs. And and so then we ended up, I guess now we're here. I've been on tour for so long that like the memories of the beginning of this tour are starting to fade
it all
into
floods.
like
Oh,
nothing.
sure. Yeah.
The last thing I remember, or the earliest thing I could barely remember in vivid detail, is being in Southern California somewhere, and I was driving Sarah's car, and I just heard a voice. I was pumping gas at this gas station. This guy was like, "My friend, I need money for gas," and I was like, standing in the middle of the desert. So I wasn't expecting someone to walk up to me and do that. I would turn behind me. There was this old like Egyptian guy in a van, and he was like, "My friend, take this gold ring." He tried to give me a gold ring
Oh my God.
Beginning of a horror film.
for like gas money.
Take this monkey's paw.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, wait, hold on. This doesn't seem right, dude. Like, you need gas money. Your car's running right now. You're at a gas station. What? Why don't you just...
None of this adds up.
Why do you need to sell me the ring? And he's like, please, for my family. And I looked...
What do you mean? You need gas for your family?
I need gas for my family. And then I looked in the back of the van, and you could see like the silhouette of something. It was not a child. It was a short adult. I was like, that's not your family. Those aren't your kids. That's your friend. And he just drove off like laughing.
Laughing. Hey, we almost got that one. We almost got him.
Yeah, it was so fucking weird.
That ring gives
That's
you cancer.
so tight.
Now I'm at in Austin, and me and Josh did Altercation Fest at Kick Butt Coffee, which was real fun. Because,
Great set, by the way.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you very
fucking
much.
heels crushed. You crushed doing comedy. Great fucking
man.
sets all around.
Yeah, it was a fucking good couple days, man.
So there's a VIP section, and there's like flavored vodka and shit back there for free if you're on the festival, and then there's a bar for customers. And Nick Zachariah has been on the show, folk punk guy.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
He was there just hanging around. He's not on the festival. He's just hanging around.
Trying to sell posters.
And he was asking me to get him liquor from the back. Because legally he couldn't go back there because he's, it would be him drinking in the bar.
Yeah.
Us, we're licensed
Yeah.
legally or whatever because we're on the festival. So, they had to have rules about it, but you could make it happen. And I fucking, the other night, I went back to get him some liquor, and they were out of cups, but there was plastic bowls.
Oh, God.
Because they were serving chili in the back. And I just came out with a bowl of flavored vodka for him.
That's what that was.
Like he's a
I was
dog.
on the other side. Exactly.
He just looked at it and drank it.
I mean, it's Nick, so I mean, it's a little more fitting than you'd expect it to be.
Yeah.
When I think of punk rock, I think of flavored vodka. by the
Yeah.
way.
Right? Yeah, free.
Yeah.
But that's Nick, bless his heart.
Anyway,
That was a great image because I was on the other side of the bar when that happened, and all you heard was this whole "holy shit" from on the other side. I look over and I see Nick tipping back a bowl, and it's like, I guess that's not. I'm thinking that's not a bowl of cereal.
bowl of liquor like he was drinking the milk out of the bottom of cereal.
Oh man,
That
to be
is
21
so
again.
funny.
21 and a crust punk.
Anyway, let's get into it. Let's do some nightmare stories. You're a fucking what type of cook are you? What's the word for it I'm looking for?
I mean, I own my own thing now, and I make everything, so I'm just a fucking cook.
You're
Really.
just one of those
Yeah.
restaurants where you're everything.
I literally
Yeah.
have no employees because it's easier. It's like if we made more money, I'd get another employee, but I can handle it. I work at a pirate bar, pretty much called not an actual pirate bar, but it's full of fucking weirdos.
Sure.
Called the High Tone, and I do the kitchen back there, and it's either balls to the wall or nothing at all. Kind of a bar. You either have our normal regulars kind of a thing, but it's never like it's not in a busy spot where it's always constant out of towners or anything like that.
Yeah, I know that because I've done stand up there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we've you ain't wrong, but we've but there's always so much for business, so a lot of it's me fucking sitting around and that kind of shit. So, but it's so weird doing it there because it was never designed for food. So we've just turned this nook, cranny corner. Like my kitchen's about the size of yours, Pat, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so we don't. I don't have an eye to cook on. I do everything like a panini press, and it's a pizza oven that is 200. If you look at the dial, it says 400, but if you look at your temperature guide, it is 750. So you just learn to roll with that kind of shit.
Oh,
And this job
okay.
is just
Yeah,
constantly
yeah.
learning to roll with what the fuck I have.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
But none of it. It's not like I sat down or the owner Skinny sat down and was like, "I'm going to spend $20,000 on building this whole area back thing." It's all like, "Well, we got one of those sandwich maker boxes. I got a freezer. I got a panini press.
Yeah.
You want to bring? And I bring in the food. None of the equipment's mine."
Somebody I know once described working in a kitchen like that as like flying the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Like, as in you're the only person that knows how to do all the knobs
Yep,
and shit.
100%. 100%. When my wife covers when I go out of town a lot of times, and the list of shit I have to leave for her of all like, "Oh, don't close the right side of that door all the way or it'll freeze up," or it's all like old as fuck gear and shit like that. But it's like
There is a wood nymph. Be careful of him. But
yeah. Well, it really turns into more of the job I do now with cooking. It's like it's about making the money you can, because there's like an hour before every show kind of a thing where it's like my golden time, and then there's the hour after the show, and that's the only time I'm going to sell any fucking food.
Yeah.
And it was a great thing and a terrible idea. Like this whole thing was I love doing it. I've learned a lot from it. I don't know how much longer it's gonna last, but I enjoy it. But at the same time, my wife has a really good job, and she was all like, "You come home pissed all the time. You know, you could just quit." And I was like, "Wait, that's a thing?" And I was like, "I can't." All right,
dude, I'll quit.
yeah. I mean, but there's also I've also known we play that place a whole. It's like our home base, and so now I do this thing where like I want to make money. If I really want to make money on a night, I'll book us in the small room, and I'll work the entire with it while the openers and all that shit are going on. I'll be fucking serving food until the second it's time for us to play.
Oh, wow.
And then I go home and just die.
That's a good scam.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get their money three
nice
different ways. I get money three different ways. I got we did our CD release party. I cooked for a little while and then got a friend of mine to cover while we were doing it. We had our merch. I was in charge of the door. I was like getting it every way. It's like turn into the how much can I get from everybody tonight, and then we just won't play for a month or two so no one gets pissed.
Dude, the reality of being like an actual musician is so fucking depressing.
Oh, beyond, dude. It sucks. It's like
just imagine if you went to go see like some famous ass musician. Like you go to see Lana Del Rey, and then she's playing, and then you go to the bathroom, and she's the bathroom attendant. 'Cause
Yeah,
she's
that's
not making
exactly-
enough money.
Yeah.
And then she's also working in the food truck, and you're like,
Yeah.
Lana, are you okay?
She's also personally selling all the merchandise after the show. It's like, you have people for this.
Why are you dating a cop? Is this why you need money?
Yeah. Help me help you,
Yeah.
Lana.
Well, I've never been against pulling the sympathy card a little bit. It's all like, "Oh, Josh, you're playing and you're working." I was like, "Well, I gotta make a buck, guys. So why don't you order some fucking food? And make
How
it worth
long
my
have you
while."
been a cook?
I've been cooking my whole life. I went
Okay.
to culinary school 15 years ago, and but it was a culinary school that trained you for a kitchen that doesn't exist anymore. The training was for like a small kitchen that's kind of busy, that's like tucked away where you're not being seen all the time. So you have a bunch of old school tricks and shit like that.
Yeah.
But the only jobs you could get in Memphis once I had that degree was in these places like working the fucking Hard Rock, where you're standing next to nine other dudes on a line, and I'm just flipping 300 burgers a day. And I learned real quick I am not built for that.
Sure.
At all, because I wasn't trained in it. If I'd have gone to culinary school and that's what they trained me for, I'd have been like, "Oh, this is not my bag," and gotten the fuck out of there. So I didn't do it for forever. And that's the weird part about owning the kitchen now. Never once in my entire life have I ever been like, "I've got to own my own kitchen and be a chef." Bullshit one
Yeah.
day. I've never wanted. This is the job that opened up.
Yeah.
My wife wanted me to take it, I think, because it kept me from going, "Well, it looks like I'm going on the road for the next 6 months," like because with that other job disappearing. It was the time to push, you know what I mean? If I were going to do that, let's do that. But
Right.
get back to your musician thing. It is so fucking depressing. Because I was ready to not quit being a full-time musician, but just put most of it into stand-up and write shit at home and just release it on SoundCloud, that kind of thing. And then I hooked up with Brennan, and I'm all like, "Oh, this is fucking really good. We have to give this a real shot. God damn it."
Yeah, dude, that shit sucks, man.
I mean, it's great. We have a great album, and we got signed and all that stuff. But in that moment, it was like, "Oh, well, we really have to give this a shot."
That's what I'm saying, dude. That new album is so fucking good.
That means a lot. I appreciate
now
that.
You're fucked, and you have to push it, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know what I always say: rock and roll is here to stay.
Yeah.
You're the first guy to ever
I'm
say that.
saying
Too.
that.
Works. I'm down.
It's the first thing I say when I wake up. It's the last thing I say before I fall asleep. Big deal.
Well, like the dream is to con everybody.
After sex, right?
Yeah.
You just say, rock and roll is here to stay.
And she goes, what? And I'm already asleep.
You're already out.
Yeah.
The dream's to fucking get away with touring where I just open for us. Like,
Yeah.
I come out my tie, I do 20, and then we do like a 5-minute intermission. I put on a Slayer shirt, put on my basketball shorts and a baseball cap so you don't even really notice. And
Oh,
then we do our
man.
set. And the money just, and between that and since there's only 2 of us in the band, that's the other thing. That's the other disheartening thing is like, because there's just 2 of us and we're super cheap, we actually can make pretty good money on the road. So it's like that much, but that just means like, the hot dog on the stick is a little bit closer than it would be to somebody else, but it's still not in biteable reach by any stretch of the imagination.
I am so sick of being tricked by people who have a hot dog on a stick and they attach it to my back, and I'm constantly chasing after this thing.
I think
I'm sick of this happening to me.
it's a carrot on a stick, right?
Well, for me, it's a hot dog.
I'm white trash from Memphis. Who's a juggalo? It's definitely a hot dog.
If they put a carrot on a stick, I would just cut the stick off and go to bed. I'm not think I'm running after a carrot. Go fuck
You
yourself.
mean in front of a rabbit or something that actually wants the fucking carrot?
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
want that shit.
Carrots are for rabbits. That's my other saying.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Learned that from Looney Tunes.
I could never be a cook, man. Like I've done service industry for forever, but like I don't know. I have no passion for cooking.
I
at
don't
all.
like talking to people. I bartended for a while, but it was at both places where everything that if I ever had to make a drink, the name was in the title of the drink. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like whiskey, sour.
Oh,
You know,
sure,
that guy, I
sure.
was that level bartender. It was more volume. Like at the Daisy, we have to get everybody drinks for the government mule show before they start. So it's just this huge line that never stops, and it's
Yeah.
about turning and burning as much as you could. You know, you actually have a bar, you have to talk to people and all that kind of shit. I did that for a couple of years and was like, fuck this.
Dude, when I was bartending at the tavern, sometimes I would like when there's that lull that I talked about earlier where it's like sort of just 1 or 2 people at the bar, whatever, like you're kind of just standing there and like they'll be like, yeah, I'll have a beer, and you give them a beer, and then it's like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
So we just kind of stare at each other, and sometimes they'd be, preoccupied with TV or their phone or whatever, but sometimes they'd want to talk to you, and I'm like, I finally got to a point where I knew I couldn't work there anymore because I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep talking to these people. I just can't. And
yeah. That was
literally,
100%.
what I would do is sometimes I talk to some. I'd be sitting at the bar. Some guy's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I don't know what to do. And so I'd be like, "Oh, 1 sec," and I'd walk into the kitchen, and I would just stand in the kitchen. And then I would always forget that like you can like. There's windows into the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, like, the guy could just look over and just see me standing there, and I'm, like, still looking at him. So he's just like, what? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, this is just what I'm doing, I guess. I always forgot about that, and I would go to that kitchen and just fucking, okay, the shtick that was happening at the tavern was out of control, where the cooks and I would just scream at each other all day long, but we were like friends, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd.
Oh yeah, no, that's that pirate bullshit. I know that 100%. Yeah.
We do this thing where this guy Santos who worked there, he's like this. He's just old as fuck, and I'd go back there and I'd be like, hey, I'd like just have someone actually talk to him about it. I'm like, so this is what this ticket means, and he would just scream at me, "See or no way," and I'd go every fucking day, and I don't know what he was asking me.
Yeah.
So like he goes, "See or no," and I go, "See," every day, every fucking day, and then after that I could ask him a question. Or they would fuck with this guy named James who worked there, who I guess like was bad at his job, or I don't know. He was just a shitty cook, I guess. And every time he fucked up, Santos would go, "Mr. James," just to fuck with him. And James was the nicest guy, but he sucked so bad.
Yeah, man. Dude, fucking the people in the
Nicknames,
kitchen are
man,
so fucking
Jesus.
funny. And
The
it's
kitchen
like,
people are hilarious. They're always so funny.
you know, I mean, if you read like Anthony Bourdain's writing on shit, he kind of compares kitchens to like military situations
Yeah.
a lot, or like
That's where I get the
working
pirate crew
in
thing
fucking-
from. The whole like outside of this situation,
Yeah.
they are worthless in real life. They're not survivable. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you put them in a pinch when there's 300 people walking in the door and everybody turns into a fucking marine.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like being
While
a
drinking.
pro wrestler or something.
Yeah.
You're like wrecking your body doing a really specific task or something. But that's why those fuckers are so funny. It's because like every there's knives and shit around.
Mm-hmm.
Anything could go wrong at any point. You're kind of like in this high stress situation. That's when you call your friend a racial slur and they know you don't mean it. 'Cause you're just fucking around or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
That's always the best part of restaurant work.
the racism.
The
The racism. Well, I mean, it was around you the whole time, white supremacists. You know, it was,
Well, hey, you know. What can you do?
Yeah.
Have you ever had somebody you work with, like, have you ever gotten in a physical, like, fight with someone servicing it? Because that happens a little, like, it always seems like it gets close to that edge, but because it's so aggro when it can be, and then it breaks off. Has it ever actually fallen through? Because I've had it happen once, for sure. Not just 9/11. Not just on 9/11, when I fell, like, one of the towers.
I guess the closest that I came to fighting somebody was when I've been at work all day, and this new fucking guy was working there, and I hated him. And he only worked there for like a few weeks, but he was eating a salad with blue cheese dressing, and to the tune of "Suit and Tie" by your boy Justin Timberlake. He was singing, "As long as I've got my blue cheese, I'll eat my salad as I please." Oh. And then I just remember looking at him, and I was like, "Hey man, you cannot do that." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "If you're gonna work here, you cannot do that." And I'm not his boss. I'm just some guy. We do the same job. Yeah. And he was like, "All right," and I was like, "I'm not being funny." Like, I had to tell him because he was like, "Are you fucking with me?" And I was like, "You can't do it. Don't.
Yeah.
Just stop. What is wrong with you? Who are you trying to impress? You're trying to. I'm getting mad now thinking about it. Every once in a while,
you're fired up now.
Every once in a while, I will remember something and get furious. There was this fucking guy who came in. We were a sports bar, so we'd show like we had like all the different packages. So whatever thing you wanted, we could watch. This guy fucking came in and he was like, "Yeah, I want to watch the Spurs game." I'm like, all right. And I went upstairs to change the TVs around, and I was up there, and we had a very complicated system, so I'm already fucking pissed off about that. I'm searching for like 10 minutes. I have to call a manager down, because sometimes I would fuck up the thing, and I'd call the manager, they'd fix it, whatever. And so they can't find it either, and I go downstairs. But this point, it's like been like 15 minutes. By the way, there's no one downstairs working. I'm up there. Yeah. So it's like, there could be a line down the block. I wouldn't know. And I go down, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm sorry, but like I searched for like, 15 minutes. I could not find the Spurs game." And he was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Who are they playing?" And he just said, like, he was like, "Oh, they're playing Manchester." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, like the Tottenham Hotspurs." And I just stared at him, and I go, "Dude, we're in Texas right now. You can't say Spurs." And like it's one of the few times I've gotten angry at somebody working. Like angry at a customer. Yeah. Where I was like, "Dude, you cannot come in here and do that." It's like, it's Texas. You just can't. I'm sorry. You can't do that.
Yeah. That is a total dick move. I haven't really got any fights with coworkers, but I used to just regularly have to drag people, kicking and screaming out of a bar I worked at.
Oh, yeah. See, I never worked security of any kind, so that's something my tiny ass would never be able to pull off.
Well, I worked at a bar where I was the entire.
Oh, you were the staff.
Yeah, and it was tiny and shit. And I would have these dumb fucks come in, but like those types of bars, like you're saying, like you have to hang out with those people. That's the job. Yeah. The job isn't being really good at making drinks. It's hanging out with those people.
Being their bud for a minute.
So I had to come up with creative ways to just placate them and pass the time. And one of them was we had a TV and it had Netflix on it. And remember when Bob Ross came out on Netflix?
Yep. Yeah.
I devised a way of gambling on Bob Ross, which is that when he started painting, we'd all throw down dollar bills on what we thought it was going to be. So people would be like, "It's going to be a fucking lighthouse. It looks like a lighthouse." That would keep people busy for a little while, and then they would go fucking buck wild after that.
Yeah, I used to we'd have a big late night crowd at the P&H, and that late at night, either I was nice and jarred up enough where I didn't want to talk to anybody, or I was tired and didn't want to talk to anybody. Like from like 2 to 3:30 was like one of our busiest times of the day, because all the other bar people would come in, all that kind of stuff. And
P&H stands for poor and hungry, right?
Yeah, yes, it
Great
does.
name for a fucking bar.
And so I didn't have to talk to him. I would start.
Yeah, my restaurant's called War Crimes. Come on in.
To keep me from having to talk to people, I would start bringing in illegal movies. Like movies that were like still in the theater that a friend of mine would give me a download of and put them on a DVD.
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, because that would shut them all the fuck up and be like, "Hey, look, Transformers that came out last week. Here's a decent copy of it. Now just fucking drink and watch the goddamn movie. Shut the fuck up." And that worked really fucking well until my boss, the owner, got a hold of it and was all lost his shit because he was like, "Hollywood's gonna sue us." That was his literal sentence.
Hollywood. Hi. I'm the lawyer of Hollywood.
This is like a shitty Paul F. Tompkins character.
That sounds like, that's so funny.
The worst improv ever.
One time when I was working at the tavern, there's 2 stories there, and so it was the day when I was on the second story, and when you're on the first floor, you have like a manager down there helping you out, and you have a server, sometimes two. But on the second floor is just you. And so you'd bartend, you'd wait tables, you do pretty much everything. They had a dumb way to send food up to us, but one day I was having a really busy morning, and I had to run downstairs to the kitchen to grab something. And as I ran downstairs, I looked over at the bar, and there was this woman sitting by herself in a wedding dress, just taking shots of whiskey. And I was like, what on earth?
That's
And I was so busy that I was like, I'm so pissed I can't look into this. So I had to run to the kitchen, grab all my stuff, and run out. And then later on, I went downstairs to talk to the bartender, and I was like, who is nice but is a fucking dummy. And I was like, hey, what was up with that wedding dress lady? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, that woman that you were serving all those shots to. And he was like, I didn't see a wedding dress. I was like, God, you were so, how are you this not curious about the world? How are you this fucking...
that would be insane. I would have to know.
That
I
didn't
would
interest you
absolutely
at
have to know.
all, George?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll never know.
I'll never know.
That sucks.
There was this lady who would come in, and she would... She was telling me, yeah, she's like, oh, I'm getting married, blah, 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 blah. And, like, we were, like, she was kind of a regular, so we were friendly with each other. And then she told me that her wedding, they were going to dress up like Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Oh, God.
And, like, I almost went, well, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, bite your tongue on that one. That's the worst idea I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah, I'm fucking surprised I can still speak. That's
Yeah.
how hard I bit my tongue.
I fucking bet, man.
God.
Joker and Harley Quinn.
Fucking Christ. What?
I booked this tour I'm on right now. I didn't realize the last date of this tour is the day the Joker movie comes out.
No.
Nice.
I'm just gonna get killed in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Well, San Antonio, I
Everybody's
think.
gonna kill you. Be at the movie, so
Fair. I guess I can't be in the movie. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
I'm
there you
go.
safe. Actually, you know what? You asked me if I ever fought a coworker. Now I remember. I used to, me and Tim Murphy at the Grackle used to get into fist fights sometimes. Not full-on fist fights, but shit would happen. Like, one time I was at his house after work. He was having kind of a house party, and I think he was, I don't know, it was weird energy. I was like, is this closer friends? Should I not be here or whatever? And at one point, I just said some weird joke to him, and he just punched me in the head. Not particularly hard. And then he was like, do it to me. I was like,
Oh, yeah, one of those
okay.
guys. Yeah.
And I like punched him, and then I was just like, I felt kind of weird about it, and then like I can't remember exactly how this chain of events went down, but then like a week later, he got really mad at me because I wasn't in on time, but he had texted me the wrong time. He said like get here at 8, and then at 7, he's like, where the fuck are you? And I showed him his own text, and he's fuming or whatever. And then he'd be like, punch me in the face. Like, he'd be like, oh, my bad or whatever.
Why did he always want to get hit in the face?
I worked with a couple aggro dudes at the P&H at one point who they would get hammered, and I mean hammered late at night and do like the lit cigarette arm bullshit games and stuff like that. And I'm like, we ain't even counted down the drawer yet, dude. Can we just lock the door and then we can all be idiots?
Yeah,
like,
that
there are still customers here. And they were like, yeah, that's why we're doing it. I'm like, wait, what the...
Look, we're
I'm gonna go
professional
finish
here.
this bag of drugs in the back
Yeah.
and not share any with you guys now.
We lock the door before we start burning ourselves with cigarettes.
Yeah.
Oh, I was...
Grow up and do cocaine.
Man, Jesus, it's a fucking. No, I had a dude in the back at Fino's who you were not allowed to check on food when it was taking a minute.
Yeah.
That was his thing. Like, don't fucking ask me. The food will come out when it's ready. And like we were getting our ass kicked one day, and there was this thing that he was trying to hide the fact that he'd had to remake it twice by like just busting ass and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, where the fuck is that pizza? And in the middle of this rush thing grabs a fucking knife and does it like this. The fuck did I tell you? And I was like, dude, you better slit my throat because I'm gonna suck your dick till you die. And it fucking blew his brain where he just shut down and turned around, and I went back to fucking work.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't know what to do if I threatened someone and they said, I'll go down on you until
I didn't know what else
die.
to say because, like, I'm not willing. That guy was enough of a prick most of the time. He probably wouldn't have done shit, but I've been to jail enough times where I'm like, I'm not going to test this theory in the middle of rush. You know, like you're staring me in the eyes enough to where, like, you may accidentally cut me bad. You know what I mean? Or some dumb shit. So
I'll say this about one thing that would kind of annoy me is when I'd be working in a restaurant and the cooks were like tough guys.
Oh, dude, it's the worst.
And they'd yell at you. They'd yell at you, and after a while, I was like, I'm a fucking adult. Like, so like, this guy, I don't remember. It doesn't matter what his name was, but he he was like yelling at me one night, and I was like, "Hey, dude, you're fucking cooking another man's dinner right now." And he was like, then I was like, "Fucking yeah." So you know what? No mushrooms on it.
Yeah.
Don't put any fucking mushrooms on it for this man out there you're cooking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Man, when I read Kitchen Confidential, I immediately realized that like 10 guys I knew had read that book and designed their entire
Oh, sure, yeah.
hundreds, dude. You
Yeah.
have no idea, Jake. You have fucking. It's the same guys that saw Fight Club and put their entire lives around that one fucking book movie. Not even the book. You know, and it's the exact same. And I'm like, I have edges of those dudes. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I mean, Anthony Bourdain is cool.
I remember reading that
there is
Bourdain
something
book when it
cool
came
about
out
that,
when-
like
I think
hard-ass
what year did
character.
that book come out? Because I remember reading it when I was like 13 or 14 or something like that when it first came out. Because my mom heard about a book about cooking that was funny.
I
And
think
she's
it came
like,
out
"You'll
like,
like this, Josh."
like 99, I think.
99. Okay, so I'd have been like 17, 18.
Maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have been like 17, 18. That makes sense. But and I remember reading it.
Of course it does.
This is. I remember reading it and having equal parts of all like this is the same when you read Hunter Thompson. That's the whole thing like this is the fucking life, man. Fuck yeah. And then like as I read it again when I'm older, it's like you guys are fucking assholes.
Yeah, and you're miserable. Like
Well, the big cooks that you're talking about are always too cool for school, and they never do anything fucking wrong ever.
Yeah.
Ever, even outside of the fucking kitchen. And it's a very certain kind of breed of dude, and it's fucking blows. I've been dealing with it my entire goddamn life.
And the thing about like Kitchen Confidential is that when you read it, like it is. I mean, yeah, he was hilarious. He was a great writer, and I really dug the dude's TV shows. I just liked him a lot.
Yeah, I
think
like
we
him.
all
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
But like when you read Kitchen Confidential, like if you read between the lines, it's like, oh, you're not a very happy person doing.
Oh,
like, you're
not at
happy
all.
doing this.
Yeah.
And later on in one of the books,
Nasty Bits or something.
Yeah,
or
Nasty
whatever.
Bits. I was reading it, and he was saying like. He was like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't be doing that now. Like he was like, at my age now, I would not be able to."
Oh, it's in the second book where he talks about. He goes. Some people come off the fact that I was some kind of hot shot. He goes, I was a terrible chef.
Yeah.
He goes, I could get the job done when needed it, but by no means was I really good at it or anything like that.
It's how I look at my bartending abilities.
Yeah.
If you want
That's
a
how I look at my
whiskey
lovemaking.
soda, I'll do it. If you want anything else, I'm just gonna make you a sex on the beach. That's. By the way, anytime someone orders something I don't know,
100%.
I just make that drink.
That's got to be a thing across everywhere because I 100% did that back in the daisy back in the day. It's like that's the one. And 9 times, how many
know
times
why.
did you get called out for it?
Never. No one
Not
ever.
fucking once.
Well, dude, when I worked at Maggiano's, our big thing was pushing wine and stuff. And like I mean, they would teach you about stuff, but like I knew the basics. But like, if anyone ever asked me like a question about wine that I just didn't know. All I would do is I would kind of just lower my voice and speak very quickly and say nothing. And so I would go, well, so the difference, the Cabernet is sort of like a little smoother, and then the
That's fucking
notes
genius.
of pecan, sort of
Yeah.
vanilla. And then they just go, oh. Because people are terrified. That's why no one ever, you go, this isn't what I ordered drink-wise, is because people are terrified of looking dumb.
Yeah.
The people are terrified of like, oh, this guy's gonna think I'm stupid. It's
Yeah.
like I'm a fucking functioning alcoholic. You're trying to who tells dick jokes. You think like you want my approval? I'm a shithead. I was late to work because I was jacking off, and now I'm.
Now you're
you know what I
asking me
mean?
about
And you're
wine.
asking about wine.
Yeah, and that was 10 minutes ago, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're selling a drug, so like they don't care really what
sure.
kind of flavor it is at the end of the day. You know,
Does that
They'll
ever
just drink
fuck you up when you see people that you just see shitty all the time, and you see them not shitty? You know what I mean? Like that was one of the reasons I got out of the bar game is that there was a significant amount of people that were like quasi friends that I only see them at their fucking worst.
Oh, sure,
When they
sure.
drink, they're trying to drink themselves to death 3 nights a week. Kind
Well,
of thing.
yeah, well, there was a guy that he was a regular at the tavern for like a super long time. Texas Tim. He died.
I like how that name came in 3D. For those of you listening,
Yeah, I leaned forward at Josh, as I'm wont to do. He's dead now, but he was like a regular. He was like a regular there for forever, and he was this guy who would like just talk your ear off about stuff, and you knew he was lying. And it was one of these things, but he was so charming that he looked like Sam Elliott if he had like very long hair, like Sam Elliott in Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
is
I was
what
gonna
it
say,
looked like, yeah.
the apex Sam Elliott.
And so he would sit there and like he told me that he is one of the. He goes, well, like that 5-finger or that 5-point exploding heart technique. He said he knew how to do it. He said he was the only white person who know in America. He goes because apparently what happened was he was doing lawn work for his neighbor who happened to be the best martial arts trainer in Texas, and he taught him how to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, definitely. And I'm like
That's on the level.
But then he had all these stories that I'd go like, I wonder how much of this is true. I wonder like, because I'm sure there's a kernel of truth in all of these stories.
Oh, yeah.
But like he said that he was like, well, I could have been a pro tennis player, blah 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 blah, and like. He kind of implied he was a secret agent. It was very strange. So these are just these people that you meet. Yeah, and then like he would sometimes get drunk and be like, kind of an asshole, like borderline, like not abusive, but he's just kind of an asshole. And then the next day you'd see him and you go, I was fucked up last night, huh? And I go, yep. And then we just laugh and it's no big deal. But though people like that, you do see them get to a certain point where you just go like, oh, that's probably what I look like when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
I had a guy like that who would tell these tall tales all the time, and he was this guy who had a real thick New England accent, and he was just shitty old white-haired construction worker who would just come and drink Bud Lights during the day at my bar, and his wife was black, and he was white, and she was from like Trinidad or Barbados or something, some fucking island country, I can't remember specifically which one. But he would always talk about going down there and how, like, in between construction jobs, he would go down there, and the stories would just be like these fucking action movie shootouts where he's fighting gangsters in Trinidad with a fucking, like, assault rifle and shit. And he'd be like, what the fuck? And you're also a construction worker?
Doing parkour all over.
You're fucking Remo Williams all of a sudden when you go down.
But so what's weird about it is that I would listen to it and I'd go, sure, and then you put the gun up to the guy's head. Then what happened? I would just kind of think he's lying. But then I at one point mentioned like, oh, I'm gonna be out of town next week, and he's like, why? I told him I was doing comedy, and he was like, oh, you do comedy? Do you know Earthquake? Yeah.
Ah, what a fool!
Yeah.
And he goes, I used to be Earthquake's bodyguard, right? And,
What a genuinely specific.
yeah, and I was like, what? And I asked him about it, but then he started mentioning all these specific details about comedians like Bruce and like that whole fucking circuit.
Sure.
And I was like, if you know all of this stuff, you can't be making it all up.
It's like Sean
Did
Carter.
you really shoot that guy?
It's like Sean Connery in The Untouchables for that, when he was saying he's with Earthquake. Like, who would say that they were that? Who wasn't? Like, that's such a very specific. No, who would lie about
Earthquake.
that?
Yeah.
He didn't say
Earthquake's-
Steve Harvey or you know what I mean, or anybody else that's like super famous. You pick a very certain level where no one's gonna check that.
Also, Earthquake has a bodyguard?
Yeah,
Why?
I feel like I need help getting out of the car sometimes. I guess.
man, I loved Earthquake when I was younger.
Oh,
I
100%.
haven't seen. I mean, I haven't kept up with the man, but God bless you, Earthquake, wherever you are.
But yeah,
May
that
the
leads
Lord find you and keep you.
that one link of truth. When you think that, you're like, well, that's true. Does that mean that all that secret agent shit? Is that
Right.
like, what are the nuggets like you were talking about, Pat? What are the nuggets of truth from that spilled into all that other bullshit?
Yeah,
it's,
maybe reassess everything and go like, what parts are you lying about? Are the boring parts the lies?
Yeah.
And the murders?
Yeah,
Are you James fucking Bond? Is that what's going on?
Maybe you're just really bad at storytelling.
Yeah.
You make up the boring stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Are you not a construction worker?
Yeah. Are you Jason Bourne and that's just the lie of the whole thing?
have you ever? I worked with this very old, like, service industry lifers are interesting to me. The ones who were like, not like us, but people who are like 50.
Oh yeah,
Who are
I've
still
been
working in
waiting
restaurants.
tables for 35 years.
It's
It-
so
that-
interesting.
Yeah, it blows my mind. There's a woman that still works at the Hard Rock that was working there when I was there, who had been there for 10 years. Then it was talking about 15 years ago, and she's got her days that she does. She has her quasi regulars that comes in, and it's just that. Oh, okay,
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
interesting.
Like all right, And it blows my mind because like kitchen thing is like a thing, but like I don't want to be 50 working in a fucking kitchen.
Sure.
It'd be cool owning one at 50 and being doing certain aspects of that, but I don't want to be working 6 nights a week. While fucking some shit kicker local band is playing not 3 feet on the other side of the room and the steel pedal's not tuned and is way too loud.
I worked with this old man named Cliff, who is completely out of his mind.
Yeah.
He's like 5'2". He
That's a blue.
talks like this. He has a voice like that, and he's like he was just this old man, and he told me that he would work at a restaurant for a year, conquer it, and then move on.
I fucking know a dude who did something really similar to that. It was like, and he looked at himself like he was the Highwayman or some shit like that.
He
like
thought he was
some episode of some weird TV show back in the day.
He thought he was from Kung Fu, where he would just walk around.
Yes, dude.
Go from town to town.
It'd be awesome if we were
fighting
talking about the same
bad
guy
guys,
randomly. But yeah, I knew a dude who did that exact thing. He could do it for like 6 to 8 months. And what you find out the reality is, he goes to some place and burns his welcome into a hole in the fucking ground, and then has to completely pick up and move to a whole other city and does the whole cycle all fucking over again.
This guy was incredible because he would come in the morning all coked out and set up everything by himself, and I would just sit there and drink coffee and whatever, and then we would always work doubles, and then he would come in, he'd take a break and then go home and smoke a bunch of pot, and then come back super high. And he was like, I know he's 57 because he invited me to his 57 Chevy birthday party, which was when he turned 57.
Yeah,
and so I was like, okay, this sounds weird. And I brought over a bottle of Tito's vodka that I just randomly had. And like, I don't know, I don't really drink vodka really. So I just brought it
Easy
over.
present?
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, we'll do this. And I go over. I'm the only one there. It's just me and Cliff.
Oh, it's one of those kind of...
And I have, and I go, hey, I brought over some vodka. And he goes, I've never had vodka before. And I was like, what? And then, like later, I make him a drink with it, and he drinks it, and he goes, oh no, I've had this before. It's like, what is wrong with you? And so he was an addict. He was he loved meth. He like one time after he stopped working there, he came in to just visit, and he goes to my buddy Tony Bananas. He goes, yeah, I found out about this new thing. It's called meth. It keeps your dick hard for days. My wife hates it. We're like, all right.
What a fucking couple of sentences that
I know. So I'm at the 57 Chevy birthday party, and it's me and him just kind of hanging out, and his wife is like in the next room, but I can see her because she's just staring at us, and then she won't talk to us. And like I've kind of realized like. Because I was out there for about an hour. After about 20 minutes, she kind of was more friendly and hanging out. And I realized, like, oh, fuck, she probably thinks I'm, like, his dealer or something. Because I was like, I
can see that. Yeah.
I was like 27. I was like a young guy. And she was like, probably thought I was like the guy who gets his drugs from. Yeah. Like,
You're the reason his dick's so hard.
You're the reason I'm raw.
He was so fucked up that like one time he was walking around outside by their pool, and he stepped on a coal and just didn't notice and had to go to the hospital.
Like a hot coal from...
Yeah, and he was so fucked up he didn't notice.
Those are the guys who walk into the bonfires from when we were fucking kids.
Yeah.
That's that guy,
Cliff is a guy who just never stopped partying. He never moved on from that. And he had this whole thing where he had this thing called restaurantman.biz. That was his website. And it was about, he was supposed to be a guy who consults restaurants and stuff. Because he's like, he's one of those guys where every time you talk to him, the number of restaurants he's worked at changes. So it's like, he's like, yeah, I've worked at about 35 restaurants. And like a month later, he's like, yeah, I worked at like 58 restaurants. And you're like, what? Like, what? Also,
like the next week, it's like, yeah, I worked at about 15 restaurants. And
yeah, but
like,
also,
wait, what? These are fluctuating.
It's like, I've worked at, I think, 3.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good
me too.
sign.
I've worked at a bunch of places, but it's like 6 over 20 years.
Yeah, I usually work at places for at least 3 or 4 years.
Exactly,
like,
me too, yeah.
So it's not a really good look for him to say that. But so restaurantman.biz was like, I went to the website, and he had like videos.
I like that band, by the way. It's a great band name. It's a really great band name.
Restaurantman.us. I apologize.
Oh, never mind. That doesn't work.
So I'm sorry to all the cliff heads out there. And so the video is him, and he's like talking about going to a restaurant and the food's not being hot enough, something like that. But there's like a noise in the background that I can hear. There's like, I think it's like people talking or something. And so I was like, hey, I watched your video. It was pretty good. Like, who are those people talking in the background? And he's like, I don't know. And so I was like, well, you know, there's like, I can hear something. Do you have like the TV on or something? And he goes, no, TV's not on. And I go, okay, well, there's like something is on. And he goes, no. Well, I mean, the TV's on, but you can't hear it. And it's like, Cliff, like,
what the shit, Cliff?
As soon as he said that, I just went, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. And we changed the subject. So there's no way you're going to admit that.
Yeah, dude, Jesus Christ. That's such an open crack into a huge crevice. That little kind of a moment like that. You're like, okay, got it.
I have no idea where Cliff is now, but I think about him every day. And once a month I check obituaries for him. I'm not even kidding. Like I'll just look him up and be like, is he dead? Because I don't know. I don't know where he is.
When I was a DJ at a strip club, there was a guy who was like my to pull a Highlander phrase, the Ramirez to me. He was the guy who led me in when I started working there and stuff. Yeah. And that guy partied like nobody I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And and he was like a blah blah blah, but it was that same kind of dude where like he quit working at the strip club, started coming back around when he'd been up for like 5 days at a time, and the first 10 minutes he's there, he looks pretty normal, like wore out and all that kind of stuff, but then he'd start saying just the most weird random ass kind of shit, and I'm all like, oh, this is turned a corner. Yeah. But I check the obituary every now and then when I grab a paper. I go, let's see if Dennis is dead today.
Yeah,
let's see if it's finally fucking happened.
The people you meet, man, it really is.
It's ridiculous.
And I kind of feel the same way about comedy, where it's like there's so many people that you meet working in a restaurant and working and doing comedy, where it's people from all walks of life. Like there's no rhyme or reason to the people who do comedy. There's different backgrounds for everyone. Right. The same thing with restaurants. I just think about it sometimes where it's like, I should not know. You think I should know Santos? I should not fucking know Santos. Right. Like, he's a 75-year-old dude, like, and I'm just some fucking shithead. You know what I mean? How should I know him? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
How should I know Jared Hawley?
Right.
I should not.
Yeah. Where would we have met Jared Hawley?
No idea.
Just walking around.
No idea.
Yeah. I have kind of a weird story about lifers. So, like, I'm currently not doing much restaurant work, but like I will never escape restaurants, I don't think.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
No, I don't think so either.
It'll always be in the back of your head no matter what, even if you get to escape them.
I think I'm gonna be able to skate for a while on Patreon shit and then probably eventually just go back to bartending. But the entire idea, the dream at least most of the time, is you're working in restaurants so that at some point you won't have to work in restaurants. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Most people, it's a transitional thing to something else, you know? And so when I was working at the Grackle, I was, basically, building my resume or whatever, learning to tend bar, saving money so that I could move to New York to try to do shithead comedy stuff. And so that the guy Tim Murphy that I worked for, that we're always punching each other in the face and shit, doing all this tough guy shit, got angrier and angrier and angrier at me the closer I got to quitting and moving to New York. And we would just get in these knockdown, drag-out fights and just scream at each other and stuff. And I could never fucking place what it was, right? Well, at one point, we're just screaming at each other over, like, something dumb as fuck, like a bottle of bitters or something. And I'm like, what is going on with you, right? And he fucking bought me a round of beers, like shots and beers for both of us. We sat down. He told me this fucking story, right? So Tim Murphy used to, him and Rabin and Bearden used to all hang out.
Yeah, he came to Rabin's album recording.
Yeah, and I guess they were all kind of overlapped in interest back in the day or whatever. And I didn't know this about him, but he used to be an actor, right? And he was
so funny.
He was in the movie Death Proof. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah,
the Tarantino movie. It was filmed here, right? And so the part of it was filmed at the Texas Chili Parlor, and he played this bartender who had this like long fucking Tarantino dialogue thing where somebody comes in and they're like, "Can you make me an Alabama da-da-da-da-da?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, the thing about that is you need this type of liquor and this type of liquor, and we don't have this one." It's this long fucking Tarantino thing, right? So he explains this to me, and he does the entire scene, and I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Is he good?
Yeah, he's fucking good. He's a good actor, right? And then he tells me, so when this happened, he thought he was going to be an actor, right? And Tarantino has this thing where he says he's never cut anyone out of a movie, right? So, he's in the movie, he got paid for it, and he took his paycheck, and he bought like a bunch of liquor to stock his house with, to just have like a fucking bar at home or whatever. And he blew his paycheck, right? But he's going to be in a Tarantino movie. He's just going to make tons of residuals, right? Then he went and he watched the movie, and he's not in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just fucking looked at me, and I was like, that's why you're so fucking mad at me right now. Because I'm because I'm trying to go
You're
do
actually
that.
doing something, yeah.
And that's like this fucking supervillain origin story for him. That's why he's a lifer, man.
It explains a lot about him.
That's why he never talks about it.
Wow, that's
He
crazy.
quit acting because I think it broke him, man.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it's fucked up. But every time I go in there, he buys me a fucking shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tim's a good dude.
that.
All those
Yeah.
fucking tough guys, you know, they're softies.
They're
Oh, yeah.
always the nicest. The thing that I love it when, the tough guys are like these softies. The thing that getting older that I really think is hilarious is when there are these men who I grew up, like fathers of my friends, that were the most intimidating dudes. Like I wasn't thinking they were gonna beat me up.
Yeah,
I was
but
like,
doesn't
I
mean
don't
they're not
wanna-
intimidating as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
and
will do
so-
whatever they want you to do, kind of thing, to impress
yeah,
them.
absolutely. I'd do
Yeah.
yard work
My
for
dad
them.
My dad had I had a bunch of uncles growing up. My dad's
Yeah.
hunting buddies and stuff like that. They were like fucking terrifying, but were never nothing but nice to me. To where I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck
Sure.
you say, sir. And we had a very hardcore sir
Yeah.
policy in my house when I was a kid too. And
Oh,
that
that's
definitely
good.
made it. Yeah.
But what's great about those dudes is that they'll become grandpas.
Yeah.
And they just become like these old sweet men.
Softy ass
And it's like,
dudes,
so
yeah.
you could have just been like this the whole time. Like I was
Right.
so scared of you.
But most of those dudes, at least from my age group, like most of those guys all got the shit kicked out of them when they were kids by their parents.
Probably that, yeah,
like
yeah.
significantly. The shit my dad and a bunch of his buddies went through, because it's just, I think honestly that's what ended up bonding them too. They all had just terrible fucking childhoods. My grandfather has Tourette's really bad,
Well,
and
so do I.
Not the cursing so much, and the punching and shit was the excuse that I always heard, and he would just snap. You say anything at all, he just backhand my dad like it was going out of fucking style.
That's Tourette's.
Yeah, that was a whole different act. A muscle. It was something that had to do with the brain. I think it's coded as something else now. It's not even.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is physical abuse.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No,
Because
I'm not saying that's not it at all. That's 100% what it was.
Well,
I have Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah.
And I've never attacked.
No,
someone
I'm just
because of it.
literally what I've heard from family of that's why he did it like that, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. That's y'all's excuse for it. Well, whatever the fuck. I never looked past it.
Pat's been beating the shit out of me ever since I've been staying on his couch. But
That's how he wakes you up. You
has
asked for the
Tourette's.
Pat alarm
Yeah,
clock. That's what it is.
It's not my fault.
we should probably wrap up here because I know you got to get back to fucking.
Yeah. I got to
Memphis.
drive to Memphis in literally 30 minutes.
Jesus Christ,
Man.
dude.
I
You
have
got a road
to-
warrior. I mean, it's funny. The longer I've known Michigan, we've done it was all these because he'll throw these random things like, well, if you want to be on the show, you can meet me here and da 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 stuff. So we used to do because of my job, I couldn't take days off. We drove to fucking Joplin from Memphis, which is like 6.5, and came directly back after the fucking show, and then turned around and did it 2 weeks later in New Orleans. So it's like as long as we have a longer trip, like now that I've driven from Wisconsin back to Memphis straight without missing a beat, the Texas run's not that bad home. You know what I mean? But it's not
good.
great. It doesn't mean it doesn't suck, but
Oh, dude, you're fucked up.
at least I don't have to work in the morning. Well, I can go home, and as soon as we pull in, I can go to bed. Brendan's got to go to fucking work as soon as we get home in the morning. So
Dang.
yeah, that's the way it is. You know,
Fucked up, Brendan.
Yeah. Well, this dumbass went on vacation before we went on tour.
Brendan.
Brennan.
Brennan.
What?
Brennan.
No
Oh.
D.
Well, sorry, Brendan.
There
We
you
got off
go.
on the wrong foot.
There you go. I guarantee you he'll be listening to this.
We got
shit.
off on
And
the
go,
wrong
Thank
foot."
you. To nobody.
So Pat, Dean, plugs. Definitely fucking listen to I Learn Nothing,
Yes.
the philosophy podcast for idiots.
Yeah, our friend Ben Cholak went to Princeton, yet in typical Cholak self-sabotaging way, majored in philosophy and ruined his life.
Yeah.
So he teaches me about philosophy, and I do my best to ruin it. It's fun. I've known that kid for literally 20 years, so it's like it's a fun thing to do.
Fuck
yeah.
Yeah, and then
I learned a lot of lore about you guys' friendship from the show.
It's so dumb. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ben. Well, lately I've been deconstructing Ben, and there's a lot of stuff there that like I kind of am just now realizing about him.
Now I definitely want to listen. For
Yeah,
sure.
there's some stuff where I'm like, oh, this is why you're that way. This is why, you know what I mean? So we have that. He teaches me about philosophy. If you like philosophy, it's fun. We say the F word a lot. We have a Patreon too, where I teach Ben about random stuff, which is fun. And then the other podcast I do is called the Lanalax Corporation. It is a choose your own adventure podcast that takes place in a universe that wants to ruin your life. Basically, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like it's basically Dungeons and Dragons meets Black Mirror is the best way I can think to describe it. It's very fun. I like
Yeah,
it.
that sounds bad.
Yeah, no, a big fan of both. Also, if you listen to both of them, you can hear people do mean impressions of me constantly.
We're always doing Jake Flores impressions.
Really?
Yeah. Well, dude, we did a whole. I don't know if you ever posted. I sent Jake a sound check that me and Ben and Avery Moore did. Where it's just all. The way we did our mic check was just me just being like, I'm Jake. The Proud Boy stole my bike.
Dude, I was listening to a different podcast someone I don't even know makes the other day, and they started doing it, and I was
so
like,
good.
this is just a thing in the podcast universe.
Yeah.
That's just a thing, yeah.
Just that every once in a while, people will just do dueling Jakes. I don't really know why.
great.
It's just fun to do, I guess. I can only do impressions of people we know personally.
Yeah.
Like, I can do a dead-on Derek Phelps, but he's just a guy we know. Like, you know what I mean? I can't do anyone...
I can do Mishka Shabali.
all you got to do Mishka, bro, is do Hulk Hogan and take out the brother. That's Mishka right there. Hey, man.
That is pretty
You
good.
want to do some acid, brother?
Fucking Josh.
I have a podcast I haven't done in a while called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark that we started rebooting as the Heels Cast. I have a band called Heels that doesn't suck necessarily. Check us out, heelsmemphisband.com. Our last record, Good People Even Do Bad Things, was released on Altercation Records a month or two ago and is selling very well. It's on all the platforms. Pay for it. If you have to, Spotify, that's fine. But it'd be nice.
No, fuck that.
That'd be nice.
Buy his album, you fucking
Thank you.
shovelins.
Thank you very much. It
Fucking
was a big
ingrates.
Hey, you motherfuckers, buy the album.
Thank you for signing up for the Patreon.
No, the Patreon's
But yeah,
fine, but yeah.
I have a comedy special on Amazon Prime called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and there you go. Blah, blah, blah.
Cool. Go fucking watch Heels. I'll play us out on. I guess I was thinking like the first two tracks.
Yeah,
'cause they're
that's definitely for the podcast. That's definitely the right one for sure.
It's like a track and a half kind of thing. Yeah.
It was our suckering way of being able to be like, yeah, we got 9 songs. Yeah, we got 9 songs. We actually got 8 1/3. But yeah, it was. Thank you. But yeah, check it out. Thank you. We don't suck.
Oh yeah, at Pat Dean on Twitter.
There you go. At Joshua
If you're
McLane.
ready for the freaky stuff. If you're ready to get nasty.
Is it 12 or 14 words on a tweet? I don't remember.
Oh man. Describe how you feel about the future of our children in 14 words
Oh
or less.
no. Hey, if you had 14 words, tell me what you think about our white children.
Well, that's the Netflix special thing, right? In 14 words.
I don't
Isn't that
know.
the one about? Never mind. 13 lies or some shit like that everybody did.
Yeah. Rock and roll will never die.
Yep.
Well, that's the
There you
name.
go.
That's DePaulo's next special. These 14 words.
He's 14.
Yeah. Oh fuck. All right, that's it.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everyone, and remember to take care of each other. But don't forget to take care of yourself. This is Sweet Pat Dean signing off.
Thank you. Thank you for-
96.7 WPAT.
Thank you for outroing my podcast.
That was fucking awesome.
Well, I've been a juggalo for most of my life, and I ain't good at brushing my teeth. And I've been told that I fuck pretty good, but my wife's probably lying to me. I don't love you because we're different. I don't love you because we're the same. I don't love